It is 2025, and LeBron James is the only player in NBA history to have 50,000 combined points in the regular season and playoffs. He is also the only player in NBA history to have 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. He's also the only player in NBA history to have 21 All-NBA selections. That's as much as Michael and Magic combined, by the way. He's also the only guy in NBA history where I can say his 40-year-old season, statistically, can be considered better than his MVP seasons, which is ridiculous. But instead of talking about his achievements, what you'll see online is most people talking about his negative stats, like his turnovers, being all-time leader in turnovers, and nobody cared about this before LeBron got that. All-time leader in missed shots, and nobody talked about this when Kobe had it. And stat padding, because apparently when you're LeBron James, if you don't win a championship, then you must be stat padding. So LeBron is actually the only player I've seen that also gets killed for playing longer. He's the only player I've seen that gets killed for longevity. So because LeBron has played so long, he's accumulated all these stats, and in order to discredit him, haters just use the fact that Jordan achieved more in less. Oh, Jordan has more rings, more finals MVPs, in less time. And LeBron is the only player I know that has his longevity used against him in this way. I've never seen that used against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, never seen it used against Karl Malone, John Stockton, Kobe or Duncan, Vince Carter. I remember Vince Carter getting a lot of praise for playing that long. Dirk, KG, all these other players with great longevity, they all get praised for it, but LeBron is the only player that has his longevity turned against him this way. So now it's about winning rings in the least amount of time. Not just about winning total number of rings, but just the amount of rings in the least amount of time. It's about efficiency now. See how the arguments changed? So haters always want to change their arguments to suit their narrative, right? Same thing with going to the finals. For any other player, Allen Iverson going to the finals, Dwight Howard going to the finals, Jason Kidd going to the finals, that's the crowning achievement of their career. For LeBron, losing in the finals has turned into a black stain on his resume. The more finals losses, then people think he's a loser, that he never won at all. Now people turn losing in the finals as worse than going to the playoffs or losing in the first round, which is absolutely ridiculous. And it's only used for LeBron. So why is there so much double standard against LeBron James? Well, let's take a look in this video, and I think one of the most obvious examples of the double standard is the comparison between him and Kobe Bryant. So let's go over why in this video and take a deeper dive and a deeper look at that. So, first of all, LeBron is easily the most hated athlete in modern history. His haters are everywhere, creating hate memes like clockwork, nitpicking every little aspect of his game. They refuse to give him credit for anything he does. If he wins with other All-Stars, it's because he had a super team. If he wins with only one other All-Star, then it's a bubble ring that doesn't count. If he makes a buzzer beater, then he got lucky. If he missed one, well, that's just proof he isn't clutch. If he passes to his teammates and they make it, well, they saved his legacy. If he passes to his teammate and they miss it, well, then he was afraid of the moment. If he loses in the finals, well, that goes on his finals record. If he puts up great stats, that's because he's stat padding. If his team has bad chemistry, that's LeBron's fault too, since he constructed the roster. Literally everything he does gets discredited by his haters, and if you try to defend LeBron in any way, then you get personally insulted and called names. This is in stark contrast to a player I've been calling overrated since back in 2015, Kobe Bryant. Even back 7 years ago, I was saying how LeBron was better than Kobe, and Kobe was overrated. In 2019, I made another video saying how Kobe was still the most overrated. That was all before his tragic death in 2020, which caused him to be even more overrated. So it's crazy to me that after LeBron won his 4th ring in 2020 and continues to smash all these statistical records, that a large portion of NBA fans out there still believe that Kobe's better than LeBron. They still put Kobe's name up there right beside Jordan to pretend that he and Jordan were similar players, which is a fallacy. Just because Kobe is superficially and stylistically similar to Jordan doesn't mean he was close to Jordan in terms of team results and achievements, and they try to stick him in the GOAT conversation as well. Well, here's the problem. Kobe doesn't even get a fraction of the scrutiny LeBron does. Whatever Kobe does gets excuse after excuse from his fanbase. Anytime Kobe loses, it's because he was injured or his teammates sucked. Anytime Kobe wins, it's all him and he carried a team of scrubs. It's the complete opposite of LeBron. They always talk about his great games and never his bad ones, and then say he's the GOAT. And opposite of LeBron, if you ever attempt to criticize Kobe, you will get called a Kobe hater. With LeBron, it's just the norm to criticize him, but for Kobe, he's untouchable. He's basically the basketball equivalent of Ronald Reagan. He's held as a deity by certain segments of the population, even though the people who know the truth know that he's overrated. That's why I'm going to bust the top 10 myths about LeBron versus Kobe in this video, because I feel like Kobe fans are always either distorting the truth or making up lies about him, and I want to set the record straight in this video. First, before I get into the top 10 myths, let's just get this fact out of the way first. LeBron is statistically superior to Kobe in every way, and it's not even close. Whether you want to use raw stats like points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game, or whether you want to use advanced stats like PER, win shares, or VORP, or box plus minus, or whether you want to use career totals, it doesn't matter. LeBron just bests Kobe in every category, except for free throw percentage. As for awards, LeBron also bests Kobe in every award category, except for all defensive and championships, which we'll get to later in this video, why these two categories doesn't mean Kobe's better. Myth number 1, Kobe bled purple and gold while LeBron always jumps teams to chase rings. Kobe fans believe that he was a diehard Laker at heart for his whole career, but that's revisionist thinking. Kobe demanded for trades many times when he was with the Lakers, especially during 2007 to 2008 before they got Paul Gasol when he was surrounded with subpar players. Kobe was in trade rumors for Chicago, Detroit, and even to the Cavs for LeBron, which the Cavs turned down. It's very likely that had the Lakers not gotten Paul Gasol, he would not have been a Laker for life at all. LeBron actually extended his rookie contract with the Cavs management in 2006 and stayed with them an extra 3 years. He played a total of 7 years his first time around, and then came back to Cleveland to play another 4 years with them. That's 11 seasons with one franchise, which a lot of Hall of Fame players like Willis Reed, Dave Cowens, Yao Ming, and Tom Hyson, who played less than 11 seasons for their entire career, are considered loyal players. And LeBron really could have chosen any other franchise to go back to in 2014, but he chose the Cavs. He could have pulled a KD and joined the Spurs, the Warriors, or OKC, but he didn't. He's the Cavs' all-time leader in every category and brought them to every finals in their history, as well as their only championship. I find it hard to believe that a man who did so much for one franchise could be considered not loyal somehow. Myth number 2, Kobe played with the worst teammates ever and carried his team to 2 rings, while LeBron handpicks a super team to win. So let's break down the facts here. In 2005, after Kobe chased Shaq out of LA, he was stuck with a bad team. He didn't have Phil Jackson, and they missed the playoffs. In 2006, Phil Jackson came back, Kobe got his team to the playoffs, and they were up 3-1 versus the Suns, but eventually lost to them. In 2007, Kobe lost again in the first round to the Suns. Kobe fans always want to talk about how he played with Smush Parker and Kwame Brown, and they use those guys as an excuse for any losses Kobe had during this time. But let's take a look at Kobe's roster during the time versus LeBron's roster during that time. Kobe's second best player, Lamar Odom, was actually a very talented and near all-star level player. He was a player who could post up, rebound, and pass very well for a big man. In the 2006 and 2007 playoffs, you can tell that Odom was putting up very good numbers, and in 2006, even Kwame and Luke Walton were putting up decent numbers because the Suns didn't have Amar'e Stoudemire in that series since he was out with an injury. That's how the Lakers were able to win 3 games against them since they had much more size than the Suns did. Now take a look at LeBron's team during that time. His second best player was Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Larry Hughes, who were not comparable to Lamar Odom in any way. Odom was a far better player than any player LeBron had on his roster during this time, and LeBron still took that team much farther in the playoffs and even to the NBA Finals. So let's break down their championship rosters too. In 2008, the Lakers got Paul Gasol. Remember, Kobe won MVP this year despite his stats and scoring production not matching up to his previous 2 years. This is because MVP is actually an award based on team record as well, not just stats. Kobe's team got better, not him. And after the addition of Gasol, the Lakers went straight to the finals that year. The Lakers then won 2 straight titles after that. So if Kobe was the one carrying the team, then why did the addition of Gasol win them 15 more games and push them from a first round team to a finals caliber team? That's a lot of impact for a player that was so-called carried by Kobe. And let's break down the Lakers roster 2008 to 2010 that Kobe so-called carried compared to LeBron's super team roster 2012 to 2014. So just by the numbers, Odom as a starter was just as productive as Bosh was in scoring and was a better rebounder and passer than Bosh to boot. Yes, Bosh did sacrifice for his role in the team, but we have to realize that he was putting up the same numbers as Odom was. Wade was definitely the Heat's second best player, but it's not clear that he made more impact on the team than Gasol did for the Lakers, especially when you take into account that post-2012 Wade declined a lot, and post-2008 Gasol only got better. It's the casual fans that will look at only the names and say, well, Wade is a top 30 player all time, and Gasol wasn't even on the NBA 75 list, and Bosh had way more all-star appearances than Odom, so he must be better. We have to look at actually what happened on the court, not just the names and number of the all-star appearances. Okay, let's just go ahead and address this stupid argument too, because I do see this online from Kobe fans. A lot of Kobe fans say that, oh, Kobe won 2 rings without Shaq, and Shaq only won 1 ring without Kobe. Then that means that Shaq needed Kobe more than Kobe needed Shaq, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, okay, you won 2 without Shaq as the main player. That's great, but that does not suddenly mean that you were just as good as Shaq during the first 3 rings. It's completely illogical to say that. Like, how does winning 2 rings later on suddenly make you better for the first 3 rings, right? You can't just retroactively go and say that. Kobe fans just want to downplay Shaq as much as possible, and they also make the argument that, oh, Shaq didn't win anything until Kobe became a full-time starter. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure the Lakers got swept when Kobe became a full-time starter in 1999. It wasn't until Phil Jackson came on the team, then they started winning. And by the way, Shaq went to the finals before Kobe. Let's not act like that was nothing. He actually beat Michael Jordan on the way there, okay? That's not nothing. Kobe, by the way, as soon as Shaq was shipped out of LA, missed the playoffs. So let's go and clear these facts up. Kobe fans don't want to admit these things, but it's there on the record. For example, here's Game 7 of the 2009 Lakers vs. Rockets series where Gasol had to bail out Kobe and had to clutch 21 points and 18 rebounds. Here's Game 5 of the 2009 Lakers vs. Nuggets where Odom had to grab a crucial 14 rebounds off the bench to help the Lakers win. Here's Game 4 of the 2010 Lakers vs. Jazz series. Gasol had 33 points and 14 rebounds to close out the series. Here's where Ron Artest hit a clutch 3-pointer in Game 7 in the 2010 Finals. And here's where Paul Gasol had to grab 18 rebounds in the Game 7 because Kobe was shooting 6 of 24. So when Kobe fans say that he carried his team to 2 rings, that's clearly a lie. Paul Gasol was a huge part of that team, and Lamar Odom was a solid contributor as well. Not to mention other solid role players like Derek Fisher, Andrew Bynum, and Metta World Peace. I feel that this team is actually a borderline super team, and that's not to mention the fact that Kobe played with 2 undisputed super teams in the 2004 Lakers with Karl Malone, Shaq, and Gary Payton, in the 2013 Lakers with Gasol, Steve Nash, and Dwight Howard. But both of those super teams failed, and everyone acts like LeBron was the only one who played on a super team because this super team actually succeeds. So basically people discredit LeBron for actually making his super team work, and they dismiss Kobe's super team since it didn't work out. And about the hand-picking teammates part, people call LeBron the GM for his ability to construct rosters, which is kind of funny because the ability to attract other players to play with him is a good thing. Kobe was famously a difficult teammate to play with. For example, he would constantly demand the ball from his teammates. In his last game, Kobe told Julius Randle to pass him the ball or risk getting booed. Jeremy Lin has said in interviews about how Kobe would come into the locker room and tell everyone they were getting traded. And Kobe was literally the reason why Shaq and Dwight were run out of LA. Kobe would literally refuse to pass to teammates if he thought that they sucked, and he would trash guys like Smush Parker all the time. His fans just follow along like blind sheep, but seriously, who would want to play with a guy like this? It's funny to me that so many people around the world idolized Kobe when he was such an asshole to his teammates and a locker room cancer. Definitely not a guy you would want to idolize. And on top of that, he had a rape trial. Even if you don't believe that Kobe actually raped anyone, at the very least he cheated on his wife, and that's just a fact. Also, not to mention Kobe taking the league's highest salary after his injury, further making it harder for the Lakers front office to sign star free agents. So it's ironic that LeBron gets blamed for attracting players to play with him and somehow trading players like he controls the front office or something, when Kobe directly forced players out himself. And as for LeBron controlling the front office, well, he would have to convince at least 4 people: Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, Frank Vogel, and Rich Paul. In addition, while haters may say he blows up rosters, the fact of the matter is, whichever team he went to has won a championship within 2 seasons of him getting there. That's a fact. And let's not pretend that the 2010 Heat, 2014 Cavs, and 2018 Lakers were getting anywhere. Those teams weren't winning anything. Then LeBron came in, blew up their rosters, and got them a championship. Lakers fans are just spoiled because they're so used to winning rings that now apparently only winning 1 ring in the last 10 years isn't enough. Well, how many teams in the NBA never won a championship or haven't won one in decades and would kill to have LeBron blow up their roster to get one? That's not to mention the fact that Kobe will always blame his teammates like he did for Paul Gasol when they lost to OKC in 2012, while LeBron has refused to blame J.R. Smith for his brain fart in the 2018 Finals Game 1 or Markieff Morris in 2020 Finals Game 5. In fact, LeBron has actually welcomed J.R. Smith back to play with him on the Lakers. LeBron has also welcomed back Zydrunas Ilgauskas on the Heat, Dwight and Rondo on the Lakers, Wade on the Cavs, and numerous other players. This makes sense, as LeBron has helped over 40 NBA players get their first ring, and helped many players like Tristan Thompson get hefty contract extensions and prolonging their careers. Melo didn't want to play with Kobe in LA, and he went to the Knicks instead, while Melo gladly went to LA to play with LeBron. Not to mention that Kobe actually did try to recruit players like KG, Dirk, and Melo to LA, but they didn't work out. So somehow I see it so bizarre that LeBron's being criticized for essentially being a good teammate, and Kobe's praised for essentially being a bad teammate, so it just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, I hope I thoroughly debunked the myth that Kobe carried his team and LeBron's teams were so much more talented than Kobe's, because that's just not true. Myth number 3, Kobe's all-time clutch has killer instinct and LeBron chokes and is scared of the moment. This is a common reason cited by Kobe fans, that he's a killer and cold-blooded assassin and he had Mamba mentality, but what do those buzzwords really mean? When it comes to clutch ability, most people believe that Kobe's all-time clutch. A lot of NBA players and coaches believe this as well. A lot of it comes from the fact that Kobe's a very trigger-happy player who never met a shot he didn't like, and it's his willingness to shoot and hit tough shots that adds to his reputation. Kobe's greatest strength, which is his ability to hit tough shots, was also his greatest weakness, because he was often too willing to try to make these shots, but that's partly what adds to his reputation. Yes, Kobe scored a lot of fourth-quarter points and had a lot of regular season buzzer beaters, but this is because of simple math. The more shots you take in the fourth quarter, the more likely you are to score a high amount of points and hit a buzzer beater when the game is close. In the regular season, Kobe could get away with this more, but in the playoffs, when the defenses are tighter and the teams are better, that's where you see his reputation for clutch ability and scoring starts to slip. And it's really not hard to see why this style of play doesn't translate to the postseason. You have to be able to trust your teammates. Basketball is a team game. People joked when Shaq brought up that story about Kobe saying there's no I in team, but there's an M-E in there. But this style of play is genuinely not good for basketball. Historically, every player who tried to play hero ball and chuck a lot of inefficient shots have lost in NBA history. From Elgin Baylor and Pete Maravich to Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady and Russell Westbrook, none of them have ever won playing this way. The only exceptions are Michael Jordan, who was a very efficient player, and Kobe, who needed the perfect system around him to win. It's also very notable that both MJ and Kobe only won when playing under Phil Jackson. So it's no wonder that Kobe only won when he had Phil Jackson as a coach and forced to play in the triangle offense and share the ball with his teammates. It's no wonder that Kobe only won with great rebounders surrounding him. His fans act like Kobe could create a shot anywhere and hit any shot over 4 defenders, but fact of the matter is he missed most of these shots and would have been better off passing to an open teammate. I don't care if that open teammate is Kwame Brown, he's a professional basketball player. If he's standing in front of the basket, he can make it. This is basic basketball IQ. There's no shortage of articles that show the truth. LeBron is actually measurably more clutch in the playoffs than Kobe. While Kobe is a clutch regular season player due to his numerous buzzer beaters and game-winning shots, when the postseason comes, LeBron has the advantage by a large margin. In fact, Kobe's 8-11 in elimination games, while LeBron is 12-9. LeBron performs much better in elimination games than Kobe. The disparity becomes even wider when you go into Game 7 performances. And if you put up this graphic here of Kobe besides Jordan and LeBron, you can see that Kobe's clutch Game 7 performances doesn't match Jordan or LeBron at all and significantly trails them. So it's kind of funny that so many people online believe that Kobe was as clutch as Jordan and more clutch than LeBron, when it's clear when you look at the stats that he's not. But hey, that's what brainwashing does to you, right? Kobe is also 7 for 28 on shots in the last 24 seconds of games and 5 for 22 in the final 10 seconds. He has only one buzzer beater in the playoffs. LeBron is 8 for 20 in the final 24 seconds of a game and 6 for 11 in the final 10 seconds. He also has 5 buzzer beaters in the playoffs, the most of anyone all time. Whenever we do a comparison of all-time greats, what matters is your performance in the finals, period. That's the biggest stage and where you win championships. Fair? Okay, so let's look at Kobe's finals performances versus LeBron's performances. You can obviously tell that all of LeBron's finals performances since 2012 have been better than any of Kobe's finals performances. People always remember LeBron shying away from the ball in the fourth quarter in the 2011 finals or passing to Danny Green in the 2020 finals, but there's many more times when LeBron took over. It just isn't publicized as much. For example, the media will rarely show LeBron scoring 16 points in the fourth quarter in the 2013 finals Game 6, right before the Bosh rebound and Ray Allen's famous shot. LeBron has numerous clutch moment compilations which you can easily find on YouTube. It's just that people normally don't talk about them because he has so many haters who want to discredit him. Meanwhile, Kobe has so many fans that they only post his highlight and best moments. Here's LeBron scoring 37 points versus the Spurs in the Game 7 of the 2013 finals, which almost nobody really talks about. Everyone talks about the Ray Allen shot in Game 6, which didn't even win the game or the series, by the way. They still had to win Game 7. LeBron showed up in Game 7, hit the game winner in this game, and had the game-saving steal. Nobody really talks about it. How about 2016 Finals Game 7, where LeBron has a 27-point triple-double to close out the series. He had an iconic block on Andre Iguodala, completed a 3-1 comeback, the only team in NBA history to come back from 3-1 in the finals. That's LeBron in elimination games, guys. How about this other Game 7? LeBron 2018, Cavs versus Celtics. LeBron puts up 35 and 15 and plays all 48 minutes in this game to close out the series. Again, LeBron in elimination games in Game 7. He always shows up. What about LeBron Game 6 versus the Celtics in 2012? Another elimination game. He puts up 45 and 15. Again, another elimination game. LeBron puts up an all-time clutch performance. What about Kobe in elimination games, game 7s? Well, 2006 versus the Suns in game 7. He puts up 24 points. Okay, not bad. But he gets outscored by Leandro Barbosa, generally considered not as good of a player as Kobe. He got outscored by Barbosa, refuses to shoot in the second half of this game. Kobe fans say that he wanted to spite Phil Jackson, wanted to prove a point. Why do it in a game 7 in the playoffs? I don't know. But yeah, I would say that Kobe kind of came up short and blew a 3-point lead in this series. So was he really more clutch than LeBron was? Here's another game 7, another elimination game. This is Lakers versus Rockets in 2009. Kobe puts up 14 points. That's right, 14. Pau Gasol actually outscored him with 21 points in this game. So I would say another lackluster performance by Kobe here. And nobody talks about it, of course, because they never talk about Kobe's negative moments. So this is game 7 versus the Celtics in the 2010 finals. Kobe shoots 6 out of 24 in this game and ended up with 23 points. But yeah, pretty horrible efficiency. He actually had to grab 15 rebounds, and Pau Gasol had to grab 18 rebounds just for them to be able to win by only 4 points. But I would say another kind of lackluster Game 7 performance by Kobe here. So this is Game 4 versus the Mavs in 2011, where the Mavs sweep the Lakers and Kobe. And this is an elimination game as well. So they complete the elimination in this game. Jason Terry has 9 3-pointers and completes this game with 32 points. So Jason Terry and JJ Barea both outscore Kobe in this game. Most people don't know about that. They don't talk about it. They always talk about LeBron being outscored by Jason Terry. They never talk about Jason Terry and JJ Barea outscoring Kobe in this game. By the way, JJ Barea never outscored LeBron in the 2011 finals. Not even in the 8-point game. But everyone talks about it. However, he actually did outscore Kobe in this game, and no one talks about it. It's another elimination game. So that goes to show you Kobe's performance in elimination games. I'm backing it up here with the footage. So everyone talks about Kyrie's clutch shot versus the Warriors and Ray Allen's clutch shot versus the Spurs. Nobody talks about the clutch shots that Kobe's teammates made for him. This is Robert Horry's clutch shot versus the Kings in 2002. Robert Horry actually made a lot more clutch shots than Kobe did in the playoffs. And if everyone says Kobe's so clutch, well, where's all his clutch shots in the playoffs? How come his teammates get all these highlights? Where's Kobe's highlights? How about Derek Fisher's 0.4 second game winner versus the Spurs in 2004? That was also a moment too. Again, not by Kobe, but by his teammates. And don't forget, Ron Artest actually made a clutch 3-pointer too in Game 7 versus the Celtics in 2010. Yeah. Kobe passed it to Ron Artest, and Artest made the clutch 3-pointer. That's right. Not Kobe, Ron Artest. So I don't get where Kobe's clutch reputation comes from. It's certainly not in the finals or in the playoffs, that's for sure. Because all I see here are his teammates making these shots, not Kobe. Myth number 4. Kobe is a better scorer than LeBron and is a winner while LeBron is a loser. A lot of Kobe fans like to talk about Kobe's scoring explosions, and they always bring up his 81-point game, his 62 and 3/4 versus the Mavs, all of his 50 and 60-point game streaks he had. So let's get this out of the way. Kobe took more shots more than any other player in modern NBA history. Just take a look at this. Kobe's name appears in the top field goal attempts more than any other player, by a lot. LeBron does not even appear on this list. So the top spot on that list is actually Kobe's 60-point game, which was his last game that he played, where he shot 50 times. That's right, 50 times. And basically, I watched this game live. The Utah Jazz didn't even attempt to guard him. They basically just let Kobe get his points. And all his teammates were being pressured to pass to Kobe at every opportunity. So basically, this entire game, his teammates just passed to Kobe whenever they had a chance. And the Utah Jazz just let him score, basically. So, yeah, this 60-point game is really just such a farce. Like, if this is not stat padding, what is, right? Like, during the last 3 years of his career, Kobe wasn't even playing very well because he was playing after his injury. And he was scoring basically just to catch up to Jordan's scoring record. He really wanted to surpass Jordan. And to the detriment of his team, of course. Right, the last 3 years of Kobe's career, his team really wasn't doing very well. and he just kept taking shots. And yeah, he didn't care that he was losing games. He just cared about catching Jordan's scoring record. So if people want to talk about stat padding for LeBron, they really don't talk about it enough for Kobe, when I do think Kobe is one of the biggest stat padders ever. I mean, 50 shots? Come on. Remember, this was during a 17-win game season here. That was his last year. He won a total of 17 games in his last season. People forget about that. Now, all these scoring explosions that Kobe fans talk about, they're all regular season games. In the playoffs, Kobe has not matched that. His playoff high is only 50 points. His finals average and shooting percentage all trail LeBron's. And head-to-head, he also trails LeBron in both averages and shooting percentage. So Kobe is basically just a great regular season scorer, that's it. But LeBron's a much better scorer in the playoffs. That's aside from the obvious fact that LeBron beats Kobe in both regular season and playoffs points per game. It's just simple math. The more you shoot, of course, the more opportunities you have to score. But it doesn't mean that you necessarily help your team win the game. It's just stat padding. Which is ironic because a lot of haters accuse LeBron of stat padding. Well, LeBron's teams without him are absolute garbage. When LeBron left the Cavs in 2010, they went from a 61-win team to a 19-win team in 2011. They still had most of their starters. Mo Williams, Anderson Varejao, Anton Jamison were all still on the team. LeBron's presence alone added 40 wins. And with Miami, it's the same thing. LeBron leaves the team in 2014. Wade and Bosh are still on the team. They turn into a lottery team. Second time LeBron leaves the Cavs, same thing. They went from a finals team to a lottery team with minimal roster changes. That's how much impact LeBron has. So how can LeBron be stat padding? If he was stat padding, his teams would still be doing well without him, since those shots and rebounds would have been taken up by a better player, right? Whereas with Kobe, a lot of the games where he scored a lot of points in, they lost. That's the epitome of stat padding. Kobe fans even get mad at Phil Jackson when he sat him out for that Mavs game because they wanted him to score more. Just imagine if KD or Curry or Harden didn't sit out every game when they were ahead. Or that game Klay scored 37 and a quarter. Imagine if he played that whole game. It's interesting that Kobe fans focus on the few games where he was efficient while ignoring the fact that other players have had numerous efficient games where they just chose not to shoot more because the game was a blowout and they didn't care about padding their stats. And just for reference, people like to talk about the Shaq-Kobe Lakers as one of the greatest duos of all time. Well, here's the 2000 Lakers record without Kobe and the 2001 Lakers record without Kobe. Looks like they were doing pretty good without him, as they still won 75% of their games without him. Kobe fans always say that Shaq was 1A and Kobe was 1B when talking about their duo together when they were playing in LA. They always say that Kobe was just as impactful as Shaq, sometimes even more. Well, take a look at this. If you look at the stats, and this is all readily available on StatMuse, the LA Lakers definitely won more without Kobe compared to without Shaq. I mean, it's all right here. The winning percentages are just higher without Kobe. Another StatMuse stat. I'm pretty sure that most people think that Kobe wins more than LeBron does because of the finals record thing. Well, if you look outside of the finals record and just look at their overall winning percentage both in the regular season and playoffs, you'll see that LeBron has a higher winning percentage than Kobe does. And that's just a fact. You guys can look it up. It's not based on just the finals, which everyone is talking about just the finals when they think that. If you look at overall the entire career in playoffs, LeBron actually has a higher winning percentage than Kobe does. And by the way, LeBron has more total wins as well. In the playoffs, Kobe has never had the incredible moments LeBron has had. In the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals versus Detroit Game 5, LeBron scored the last 29 out of 30 points against them. In 2012, facing elimination versus the Celtics, LeBron had 45, 15, and 5 in Game 6 to will them back. LeBron also had a 37-point effort in Game 7 to close out the 2013 Finals. In the 2016 Finals, LeBron had back-to-back 41-point games before closing it out with a 27-point triple-double, including that clutch block on Iggy. In the 2015 Finals, LeBron averaged 35, 14, and 9 with Kyrie and Love both out and took the Warriors to 6 games, pretty much carrying his team. In LeBron's 2017 Finals, he averaged a 30-point triple-double for the entire series. In LeBron's 2020 Finals Game 5, he scored 40 points on a ridiculous 71% efficiency. Not only does Kobe never have any games like this in the playoffs or finals, but if he did it, it would be remembered for all eternity. But because LeBron had them, they get virtually ignored, and instead you see clips of Ray Allen and Kyrie Irving shooting those last shots, and everyone thinks they saved LeBron's legacy. It's infuriating. Meanwhile, for Kobe, all of his highlights are generally from the regular season, with 1 or 2 moments from the playoffs thrown in, like when he hit the buzzer beater versus the Suns in 2006, or when he stepped up after Shaq fouled out in the 2000 Finals Game 4. These moments pale in comparison to LeBron's numerous great playoff moments, though. LeBron has always been considerably better not only in the clutch, but overall in the postseason compared to Kobe. LeBron has consistently elevated his play in the playoffs. You can see his stats go up in the playoffs, whereas Kobe's remains the same. And in addition, LeBron just plays the right way and doesn't need a specific coach or system like Kobe does to win. Kobe needs Phil Jackson and a team of rebounders around him to win. LeBron has won with 3 different coaches in 3 different systems with 3 different rosters. That LeBron somehow is perceived as not a winner and yet Kobe is one of the biggest myths in basketball. How can LeBron be the all-time leader in playoff wins and yet not be considered a winner? That doesn't make sense to me. Also, people who say Kobe is a winner seem to forget some of the worst Lakers records came under Kobe's leadership, and Kobe missed the playoffs a total of 4 times, including once in his prime. In his last season, the Lakers won a grand total of 17 games. Just 17! The entire season. Literally bottom of the league. Yes, he was injured, but you can't have a season where you only won 17 games and then claim that he was always winning. That just doesn't line up with reality. So everyone talks about Kobe's scoring peak when he hit 81 points. This is the second most scored in NBA history in a single game. LeBron's high scoring game is, I believe, 61. What about their lowest scoring? Why don't we look at their lowest scoring games? Kobe scored 0 points 15 times. LeBron's lowest scoring game is 3 points, and he only did that once. How about we compare points per game in the regular season, in the playoffs, and finals? Okay, Kobe is number 16 all-time in career points per game. He's number 20th all-time in playoffs points per game, and he's at number 13 in finals points per game. In fact, he only averaged more than 30 points per game in 1 finals out of 7. So is this one of the greatest scorers ever that people keep talking about? What if we look at the peak playoffs points per game, the highest playoffs points per game that Kobe averaged in a single run? He's got to be higher there, right? Nope. 32.8 points per game in 2007 was his peak, which is good for number 48 all time. That's right, number 48. He literally has 47 guys ahead of him that did better, that scored more, averaged more points per game in a single playoff run. And Kobe fans might be saying, well, he played in a tough defensive era, it was slow and everything. Okay, there's Gilbert Arenas and Tracy McGrady up there, and they played in the same era that Kobe did. They're ahead of him. Nobody puts them in the GOAT conversation for scoring, right? Iverson is ahead of him too, and Iverson went all the way to the finals in 2001. And you also see the playoff high as well. Kobe's playoff high is only 50 points, which is a whopping 31 points lower than his regular season high. That's good enough for 30 all time. It's tied with a bunch of others for 50 points playoff high. So yeah, when you look at it, Kobe being the GOAT scorer, it just doesn't really stack up when you look at the stats here. There's a bunch of people ahead of him in peak scoring playoffs run and also playoff high. And that's in addition to the other stats I brought up already. So yeah, it's not looking too good for the Mamba here. Also want to take this opportunity to address the whole era thing. You know, Kobe fans like to talk about he played in a slower paced era, defenses were tougher and everything. Okay, let's look at 2006. That's Kobe's peak here. He had his highest average, 35.4 points per game that year, right? He's led the league in scoring. Okay, look at who's right under him. Allen Iverson, 33 points per game. Guess who's under him? LeBron James, 31.4 points per game. Yeah, that's right. LeBron actually had his highest points per game in a season in 2006, the exact same year Kobe did. So people like to pretend that LeBron can't score as much in Kobe's era, whatever. And they also pretend that LeBron didn't play in Kobe's era for some reason, even though they played in the same era. I mean, their careers overlapped by 13 years. The stats here show that LeBron also had his highest scoring season in the same year that Kobe did. So much for the tougher defenses and slower paced era, right? So take a look at this list, and what do you notice? All top 14 scorers of 2006 were all perimeter players. That's right. So this is right after the hand checking rules were changed. So you can no longer basically be right in the face of someone when you're guarding them. And in 2006, the refs didn't really know how to call this rule anymore. So they basically just gave all the guards extra points and let them shoot more free throws and stuff. That's why the 2006 finals was basically a free throw contest. So when Kobe fans bring up the era, the tough defensive era and stuff that Kobe played in, and oh, he averaged 35 points per game, such a tough defensive era. Well, just show them this, okay? Literally, the top 14 highest scorers of that year were all perimeter players, all guards, and well, some forwards as well, right? Dirk, LeBron, Melo, that also play on the perimeter. So, yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, yeah, Kobe did not play in the toughest defensive era, not even close. Myth number 5, Kobe was a better defender than LeBron. Although Kobe has more all-defensive selections than LeBron, this is misleading as Kobe wasn't consistent on defense, especially after 2003 where he started slacking on defense. His on-ball defense was merely mediocre while his off-ball defense was virtually non-existent. Even Kobe's own coach Phil Jackson called Kobe out in his book The Last Season where he said that Kobe's all-defensive selections were undeserved and that he gambled too much on defense. So anyone using Kobe's all-defensive selections as an argument why Kobe's better, well, that's not a valid argument. There are lots of articles that talk about how Kobe's defense was overrated. Here's a nice article on Box Score Geeks that mentions how Kobe's 2005 team was near the bottom of the league in defensive rating after Shaq left. And there's a lot of clips of Kobe's bad defense online. Here's a few from Basketball Breakdown, a well-respected YouTube channel that highlights that Kobe can be very inconsistent on defense and definitely not as elite as people think. Here's another that mentions how Kobe was near the bottom of the league in defensive box plus minus. That's not to mention all the times opposing guards have scored their career highs on Kobe. Here's Jeremy Lin getting his 38 points on Kobe. Here's Gilbert Arenas dropping 60 on Kobe. Here's Stephen Marbury getting 51 on the Lakers. Here's Allen Houston getting 53 on the Lakers. Here's Bonzi Wells doing well against the Lakers. Here's Coutinho Mobley and Steve Francis combining for 73 on the Lakers. Here's Jason Terry dropping a record 9 3-pointers on the Lakers to close out the 2011 second round. So this is Allen Iverson when he was playing for the Denver Nuggets, when he was a little bit out of his prime at that point, and he still drops 51 on Kobe's Lakers. And this is when Kobe was in his prime, leading the league in scoring. So yeah, even old Allen Iverson was able to drop this on Kobe. How about Jalen Rose? Dropped 32 points on Kobe's Lakers in 2000 finals. By the way, this is when Kobe was already back from injury because he had that Game 4 performance that everyone talks about. When Shaq fouled out, he scored 28 points in that game. Game 5, Kobe scores only 8 points, and Jalen Rose with 32. So Jalen Rose just outplayed him straight up in this game. So this is Allen Iverson in his prime, 2001 NBA Finals versus the Lakers. Iverson outscores Kobe in 4 out of 5 games in this finals, 48 points in Game 1. And some people might say, well, okay, Kobe wasn't directly guarding Iverson, Tyronn Lue was. Well, I thought Kobe fans said that Kobe always guarded the opposing team's best player, or at least best guard. Why wasn't Kobe guarding Iverson? So, you know, even if Kobe wasn't guarding Iverson, I mean, Iverson still dropped 48, and Kobe should have been guarding Iverson anyways. Why wasn't he guarding Iverson? I thought he always guarded the best player. Okay, so this is Tim Duncan, 2002 versus the Lakers. He actually outscored Kobe in 4 out of 5 games this series. And yeah, you guys might be saying, well, Kobe didn't guard Duncan and he won the series anyways. Well, I just want to prove a point here that when people say that Kobe's a better scorer, that's not always true, right? How can you say that Kobe's always a better scorer than, say, Tim Duncan, when Duncan's not even known for scoring, and yet he outscored Kobe in 4 out of 5 games in the series, right? So the fact that people always think that Kobe outscored the opposing team's player is not true. And yeah, everyone thinks that Kobe's a better scorer than Duncan, but I'm just here to show you guys the footage here. It's right here. Duncan outscores Kobe in 4 out of 5 games in the series. So here's another one. Penny Hardaway versus Kobe facing off in the 2000 playoffs. Penny Hardaway actually outscores Kobe 27-15 in this game. So this is old Penny Hardaway, by the way, already after he had his surgeries and his knee injuries and stuff. So this is a not even prime Penny Hardaway, and he outscores Kobe. And this is when Kobe was really, everyone says, right, 2000 Kobe, he must be 1B. Well, he got outscored by Penny Hardaway. Old Penny Hardaway past his prime. So, all right, how about LeBron James? He scored 41 points versus Kobe's Lakers. And this was Kobe's MVP year in 2008, by the way, when Kobe had a better team than LeBron did. Yeah, LeBron dropped 41 on Kobe. I don't know why Kobe fans always pretend that Kobe locked up LeBron, when clearly, if you look at their head-to-head stats, LeBron always outscored Kobe, 28 points per game versus 24 points per game. 16-6 head-to-head. Why do they always make up lies and stuff about that? There's a whole list of guards and their career highs on Kobe. If Kobe was such an elite lockdown defender, how can this be true? LeBron, on the other hand, is a versatile on-ball and off-ball defender, and while he has slacked on defense as he got older, he was always in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation in his Miami days. But just like with LeBron's career in general, his great performances on defense and offense often get overlooked.
Ben Taylor, who does the Thinking Basketball videos, has a nice write-up on how great LeBron's defense was in his prime. There's a lot of compilations out there that highlights LeBron's lockdown defense when he was in his prime. But even during the 2020 Lakers championship run, you can see LeBron playing great defense. Like here's LeBron locking down Jamal Murray in the 2020 playoffs. Remember that Jamal Murray frustrated Kawhi, Paul George, and Patrick Beverley the previous round. All players who were considered great defenders, but they couldn't stop Murray. Well, 35-year-old LeBron did. And yes, I realize that lately LeBron has been made fun of and called giving up on his team when it comes to transitions and defense. But that's expected given that he's older, he no longer has the same energy he had before, and he's still carrying his team on offense. I can't think of any other player who carried his team on both offense and defense in their 19th season. It's not like Jordan was playing great defense on the Wizards or Kobe was playing great defense post-injury, and their teams were doing even worse records-wise. Myth number 6, Kobe was robbed of MVP in his prime, media and NBA hated him. This seems to be a common myth amongst Kobe fans, is that he was somehow robbed of MVP by the media because of his rape case, which no one ever brings up in the Me Too era for some reason, by the way, but that's definitely not true. The reasoning is that Kobe averaged 35 points per game in 2006 and carried a really bad team to the playoffs, and therefore somehow still deserves MVP over Steve Nash, who although averaged only 19 points per game had a better record with 54 wins compared to the Lakers' 45 wins. First of all, MVP has always been about team record, not about stats. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points per game in 1962 and didn't win MVP. Jordan averaged 37 points per game in 1987 and didn't win MVP. Harden averaged 36 points per game in 2019 and didn't win MVP. Scoring title is not the MVP, so what's different about Kobe? Also, as I debunked already, Kobe's team was actually much better than people give it credit for, especially with the presence of Lamar Odom. Secondly, Kobe was 4th place in MVP voting in 2006, while LeBron was 2nd. If anything, Nash robbed LeBron of MVP, not Kobe. How can you be robbed when you're in 4th place? Box Score Geeks again in the same article mentions about how Kobe was never top 5 in any season he played in based on wins produced metric. While I don't necessarily agree on this, it does show that there's a massive gap between what analysts think of Kobe and what fans think of him. Kobe actually got a lot of freebies in his career. In 1998, he was an all-star starter even though he came off the bench and averaged 15 points per game. Has another bench player ever started an all-star game before? And during his last 3 seasons, when he was arguably the worst player on his own team, he still got selected to the all-star game. So there's some freebie all-star appearances for him right there. And as explained before, the media actually gave Kobe all defensive first-team selections, even though many of them were arguably undeserved. So how does the media hate Kobe? And Kobe fans also have conspiracies about how the NBA robbed him of rings because they vetoed the CP3 trade. First of all, it could be argued that the NBA actually gave him a ring in 2002 because of how lopsided the officiating was in the Lakers vs. Kings series, especially in the infamous Game 6. The referee for that game actually came out and said that it was purposely rigged in favor of the Lakers. So that's a ring that the NBA gave Kobe, not robbed from him. Secondly, it's highly unlikely that Kobe would have won anything more with CP3 because they would have traded Gasol for him, who was a perfect complement to Kobe's style of play, and Kobe's style of play has never been proven to win with another ball-dominant perimeter star. Kobe has always won with traditional post-playing big men. It's unclear whether or not he would have meshed well with another perimeter star who would be taking the ball away from him. This is just another Kobe fan fantasy who likes to dream of Kobe winning a few more rings, but that's just not the reality. For evidence that Kobe couldn't mesh with a perimeter star player, first he couldn't play with Eddie Jones, and he had to be traded since they played the same position. Gary Payton and Steve Nash, despite what Kobe fans say about their age, well, both were all-stars the year before they joined the Lakers. And after they joined the Lakers, suddenly their production decreased measurably. I'm not sure if that's just a coincidence or not. And Jeremy Lin was doing pretty well in Houston, but not in LA. So maybe that's just also a coincidence that his production went down too. It's simple. Kobe takes a lot of bad shots, and trading away both Gasol and Odom, who were the Lakers' 2 best rebounders who were helped cleaning up Kobe's garbage baskets, for CP3, a player only 6 feet tall, is probably not going to help the Lakers win anything and might even make them worse. In any case, I highly doubt that CP3, who is not getting the ball as much as in his hands anymore if he plays with Kobe, and the Lakers, who would only have Bynum as their sole big man, would be getting past the OKC Big Three and LeBron's Heat.
I also want to take this opportunity to address another myth, which is that while Kobe fans think that the NBA and the media for some reason hated him, which is not true, the other thing I wanted to debunk is that a lot of people think that the media loves LeBron and that the media pushes him, which is totally not true either. They base this thinking on the fact that they watch a lot of Nick Wright or Shannon Sharp and those guys that actually praise LeBron a lot, but aside from them, and Kendrick Perkins as well, very few other analysts actually stick up for LeBron. I mean, I'll give you a few examples, okay? Skip Bayless, obviously. He's a huge hater of LeBron and has always been. Stephen A. Smith, for the past few years, has been hating on LeBron quite a bit as well, and they have a very public feud going on. And at times, here and there, you'll hear the media actually bring up a lot of negative media stories about LeBron. I'll give you a lot of examples. Brian Windhorst, when he called LeBron, basically he called out LeBron for wearing out organizations, essentially implying that he was trading away the assets of an organization in order to win rings. How about Charles Barkley? Now, Charles Barkley routinely criticizes LeBron as well. He's part of the media, along with a bunch of other guys, some of LeBron's former teammates like Iman Shumpert, Mary Chalmers, older NBA players like Dennis Rodman. They love criticizing LeBron, and the media always brings it up. So I don't know how people can say the media loves LeBron when you have all these negative takes on LeBron, negative opinions about LeBron, and the media is very happy and eager to post about it. So I can't say that the media really loves LeBron when you have all these different negative stories about LeBron coming out all the time. So why would they love LeBron when you have all these negative stories about him, right? So yeah, I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me. The media does post positive stories about LeBron whenever he breaks a record, but that's because he broke a record. All the other times, they actually post more negative stories about LeBron than positive stories, in my experience. Here's Rick Bucher. He's also part of the media, also an analyst. And this story pops up where he says that a lot of players secretly believe that LeBron's taking peds. Well, this is something that's another myth I want to address, is a lot of people believe that LeBron takes peds, and that's just, I think, another way to discredit his longevity. It doesn't make sense to me that the NBA would allow LeBron and only LeBron to take peds and nobody else. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why wouldn't they have allowed Jordan to take peds? Jordan was by far the most popular player during that time. Or Steph Curry or Kobe. They're all very popular players. Why only let a player like LeBron take peds when LeBron's obviously a very polarizing player? And if you're just talking about LeBron's physique change, well, look at Giannis. Giannis went through a huge physique change too, but nobody says Giannis takes peds, right? So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me that the only player in NBA history allowed to take peds is the guy that everyone tries to discredit. I mean, is that a coincidence? I don't think so, right? While I'm at it, I'll address another myth here as well. So everyone talks about LeBron flopping. They always make fun of LeBron flopping, LeFlop, King of Flop, or whatever. Okay, the thing is, LeBron has gotten less and less foul calls over the years. And you can see that literally from his free throw attempts going down year after year, especially with his with the time that he's had with the Lakers. And it's been noticeable. And for some reason, even though he's one of the NBA's biggest stars, he doesn't seem to get as many calls as he has gotten before. So that's why he might have more incentive to flop to get the refs' attention so that he can actually get more calls to go his way. So if the refs actually gave him more calls, like they did for Jordan and Kobe, then maybe he wouldn't have to flop so much. So that's all I'll address about the flopping issue. Because I don't really think that's a reason to hate on LeBron so much, because that's so many modern players do it all the time, right? It's just part of the modern NBA at this point.
Myth number 7. More NBA players think that Kobe's better than LeBron. Kobe fans use this argument to back them up, saying how NBA players know more than you do, and more NBA players think that Kobe is better. Firstly, do all NBA players know what they're talking about? How many times do you watch TNT or ESPN or another talk show, and Charles Barkley or Shaq or Kendrick Perkins or Paul Pierce or Richard Jefferson or JJ Redick comes on the show and says something that you disagree with? They were NBA players, so that means that they should know more, right? But often it's the analysts like Chris Broussard or Nick Wright or Max Kellerman that were not NBA players that I find myself agreeing with more. So just because they were NBA players doesn't mean they're always right. Secondly, it's not true that more NBA players think that Kobe's better. Paul Pierce's list has LeBron over Kobe, and Jalen Rose's list has LeBron over Kobe, and Allen Iverson has both LeBron and Kobe in his all-time list, and Jason Williams left Kobe out of his top 5, and even Shaq, who is a Kobe supporter, says that LeBron would be the GOAT if he beats Kareem's record, and Isaiah Thomas says LeBron is the GOAT too, which means he also ranks him over Kobe. Gilbert Arenas also says LeBron is the GOAT. A 2019 poll had LeBron ahead of Kobe by a few percentage points, and this was before LeBron won his 4th ring of Finals MVP.
This is an updated poll from 2024 that was conducted by The Athletic, and this is a poll that was done by NBA players. So 133 NBA players cast their votes. Michael Jordan was voted the greatest player of all time by 45.9%, LeBron James at 42.1%. The gap is probably a lot closer than LeBron haters would like to admit here. Kobe Bryant, 9.8%. Look at that. So when Kobe fans say that, oh, all NBA players choose Kobe over LeBron, who are they exactly referring to here? I mean, you have like a 30-plus point gap here from NBA players who think that Bron is the GOAT versus Kobe's the GOAT. So how can there be that many more players that think Kobe's the GOAT or Kobe's better than Bron? See, it doesn't make any sense here. Well, and here's Giannis as well, choosing LeBron as the GOAT over both Jordan and Kobe. And funny how Kobe fans never bring this up. They always make this list showing how, oh, it's only Kendrick Perkins and Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp. They're the only ones who think that LeBron is the GOAT. Well, clearly they're wrong. So during the latest interview for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, they call LeBron James the GOAT. And these are two guys that played Kobe twice in the finals. And it's important to use the most recent quotes here, because the thing about Kobe fans is they tend to take quotes out of context, or they take older quotes that players made, way before LeBron won his rings. So this one's from 2023, and they call LeBron James the GOAT as of 2023. So yeah, just to give you guys context here, okay? Anyone saying that Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett think Kobe is better than LeBron is absolutely lying.
Some Kobe fans might link to some old Larry Bird or Michael Jordan quote that said they would pick Kobe, but these are all outdated quotes from years ago, which, by the way, they took out of context. For example, in this Larry Bird interview, he said he would rather play with Kobe than LeBron, but then says LeBron is by far the best player in the league. And Kobe fans conveniently leave out this part. This was in 2012, by the way, before LeBron had even won any titles.
In this more up-to-date quote that Larry Bird said from 2024, he said LeBron is one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever. So, just to be clear, guys, when you talk about Kobe fans, they tend to take quotes out of context, and they tend to use old, outdated quotes. So, the latest one says that Larry Bird actually does think LeBron is the GOAT, or at least close to it.
So yeah, Kobe fans just like to lie about things. I'm sure there are players that pick Kobe over LeBron, but certainly not the majority. Myth number 8. Kobe had a better finals record, won his rings in the hardest conference ever, while LeBron played in the easiest conference ever and had a bubble ring. Kobe fans always have these really specific arguments about how many 50-win teams he beat without a top 75 player, but that's getting really specific. First of all, Paul Gasol was snubbed from that top 75 list and should have been there. And secondly, how many of these 50-win teams were legit championship contenders? The Melo Chauncey Billups Nuggets, the Carlos Boozer Darren Williams Jazz, the Yao Ming T-Mac Rockets. The only real contender that was as talented as Kobe's Lakers were probably the Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire Suns teams. Yes, you can make the same argument for LeBron's Heat and Cavs teams. The 2011 Bulls, 2015 Hawks, and 2016 Raptors all won close to 60 wins, but nobody thought they were better than LeBron's teams. So here's the same thing. Those 50-win teams Kobe beat in the playoffs, how many of them were actually as talented as Kobe's team? And it's a disingenuous argument anyways, because Kobe didn't beat these teams by himself, and moreover, a lot of these 50-win teams he beat came when he wasn't the main player on the team, but a second fiddle to Shaq. It would be like giving Kevin McHale the credit for teams that Larry Bird beat in the playoffs. And if we compare the wins of the teams that Kobe beat from 2006 to 2013 to the teams LeBron beat from 2011 to 2018, you can see that LeBron actually beat more 50-win teams and also even some 60-win teams as well.
I want to point out that there's a reason why Kobe fans keep that win threshold at 50. And that's because they know if they increase it to 55, then LeBron actually has the advantage. LeBron's beaten more 55-win teams than Kobe has. And I also have to add that LeBron has beaten teams as the underdog before, which he's done several times in his career, like versus the 2007 Pistons, 2016 Warriors, and the 2023 Warriors. Those are all matches where LeBron's team was the underdog, and he won. Kobe, meanwhile, all those 50-plus win teams he beat, he was never the underdog. He always had more wins than the opposing team. 2008, Lakers had 57 wins. All those teams he beat had less than that. 2009, his team has 65 wins, which is way more than all the other teams he beat, of course. 2010, his team had 57 wins again. So he never actually won any series as the underdog. That's why it's not that impressive that Kobe beat all these 50-plus win teams when his team was supposed to win. His team was the favorites. He's never actually won any series when his team wasn't favored. So I think that's important to point out in these kind of discussions. I also have to add that LeBron did have a bunch of 7-game series against some of these teams, like the 2012 Celtics, 2013 Pacers, and 2018 Celtics. So if his conference was a cakewalk, quote unquote, why did he have so many 7-game series? Obviously, it wasn't as easy as people think, right? If he had all these 7-game series, his conference couldn't have been that easy for him.
Also, people want to criticize LeBron's 2020 championship as being a so-called Mickey Mouse ring. What about it makes it easier to win than another ring? The Lakers didn't have any home court advantage. They were missing Avery Bradley, They had to go through the same issues of not being able to contact friends and family, just like every other team. They went through a healthy Dame Blazers team, a healthy Westbrook Harden Rockets team, a healthy Jokic Murray team, and beat the Heat team in the finals. Sure, the Heat team wasn't very good, but let's remember that this is the only finals opponent that LeBron faced that could be considered easier than Kobe's finals opponents. Kobe's toughest finals opponent was the 2010 Celtics, a team that had post-surgery Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins out for a game, and it still took 7 games to beat them. The 2009 Magic and the 2001 76ers and 2002 Nets, were those Mickey Mouse rings then? Especially the 2002 one, which I said the NBA already gave to the Lakers over the Kings. What about Giannis's ring last year when he beat all those injured teams? What about Curry's rings when he teamed up with KD and beat LeBron's injured team in the finals? Those seem pretty easy to win. What about Isaiah's 1989 ring when he beat an injured Lakers team in the finals? See how this Mickey Mouse ring doesn't make any sense? It's just another way for haters to discredit LeBron. And let's talk about that finals record. As I mentioned, the toughest team Kobe beat in the finals was the 2010 Celtics team that was already getting a bit past their primes. Nobody would consider the 2000 Pacers, 2001 76ers, 2002 Nets, or 2009 Magic more talented than Kobe's teams in any way. When he faced a team that had better chemistry but less talent in the 2004 Pistons, he lost. When he faced a team that had both better chemistry and talent in the 2008 Celtics, he lost. Compare this to LeBron's finals opponents, where the easiest was the 2020 Heat, but the rest of the teams he had to face were all tough. The 2011 Mavs were underrated and was the same team that swept Kobe. The 2012 OKC was also the same one that Kobe lost to as well. The 2013 and 2014 Spurs were a mix of both young talent and seasoned veterans. The 2015 Warriors might have actually been beatable if LeBron did not lose his second and third best players. The 2016 Warriors won 73 games, the most in NBA history. And the 2017 and 2018 Warriors were probably the most stacked teams of all time, containing the 3 greatest shooters of all time, as well as 3 of the best wing defenders in NBA in Iggy, Klay, and Draymond. So it's not that hard to see why Kobe had the better finals record. And ironically, if LeBron had played in the West instead of the East, sure, he wouldn't have made as many finals, but his finals record would actually be better. If he had a better team from the West to go to the finals with, then it's common sense that he'd be able to beat more finals teams from the weaker East. Essentially, if you're going to criticize LeBron for his finals record, then you can't say he also had an easy path to the finals. If he had an easy path to the finals, then it's obvious he's going to be the underdog against the best team from the stronger conference, and hence have a higher chance of losing in the finals. Because championships have so many factors to winning them: who your teammates are, who is injured or not, the referees, and the strength of each team. It's idiotic to say that Kobe's better than LeBron, because LeBron didn't have the fortune of playing with a teammate who averaged 38, 16, and 3 against a team with only one Hall of Famer. So, finals record is one of the most idiotic ways of judging a player. By that logic, it's better to miss the playoffs than to lose in the finals. And so by that logic, any player who joins the NBA is instantly better than LeBron, because he never played or lost in the finals. And Robert Horry, who's 7-0 in the finals, is better than almost any NBA all-time great. That's why using finals record to judge players is asinine. And some LeBron haters want to discredit his finals appearances by saying it was an easy conference and we shouldn't give out so-called participation trophies for making it to the finals. I fully agree. That's why focusing on his finals losses is dumb. Because if your argument is only winning the finals matters, then why talk about his losses? So making it to the finals doesn't matter because we don't give out participation trophies, but somehow his losses do matter and it goes on a record? How contradictory is that? Also, finals record just wasn't a thing to talk about before LeBron. Anyone who has paid attention to the NBA prior to 2014 never heard about finals record. It was literally something made to discredit LeBron because he had made more finals appearances than any other modern-day NBA player. Before that, nobody cared about it. Nobody cared about Jerry West's final record, or Magic Johnson's, or Kareem's. Everyone only cared about how many rings they won, not how many times they lost. But because LeBron made a lot of finals and lost there, people created the finals record in order to discredit him, just like how they created the Mickey Mouse ring and bubble ring in order to discredit him. Seriously, you never heard about these terms before LeBron showed up. They were literally created to discredit his accomplishments. And truth of the matter is, Kobe had a very lucky career, while LeBron had a very unlucky career. This may seem like a ridiculous statement, but look at the facts. Kobe started his career with prime Shaq, then after he chased Shaq out, was lucky enough to have the Lakers management surround him with the perfect cast of teammates who complemented his style of play. And all of his finals opponents have been pretty weak. LeBron didn't have that luxury. He started on a terrible Cavs team whose management couldn't care less about him, so he was forced to go to other teams to try to win, but his teammates ended up getting injured or being a bad fit. 2013 to 2014 Wade definitely was on the decline. 2015 Kyrie was injured in the finals. Bosh and Love just weren't as good as people make him out to be. AD's been perpetually injured since the 2021 season, and Westbrook just can't fit with anyone. So really, LeBron's only had 2 years of Wade, 2 years of Kyrie, and 1 year of AD as his only solid second options, and none of his coaches were as good as Phil Jackson. On top of that, LeBron had to face some of the toughest finals opponents ever, like the 2013-2014 Spurs, who played their brand of team basketball to perfection, a 73-win team in the 2016 Warriors, and the 2017-2018 Warriors, who were just incredibly unfair. So people who say, oh, LeBron had stacked rosters all the time and Kobe carried his teams, well, if you dig into it, you can clearly see how false that narrative is. Myth number 9. LeBron had the worst finals of all time in 2011. Kobe would never. A large part of the LeBron hate comes from his performance in the 2011 finals, because it's easily the performance where he's the most criticized for. Even LeBron fans would admit that he performed below expectations in that finals. But let's look at what the actual numbers say. First, the claim is that Jason Terry and JJ Barea outplayed LeBron. Did they really, though? So when people say outplayed, do they mean outscored him by 0.2 points per game and more efficient by 1%? This is a weak definition of outplayed because it can be made for a lot of all-time great players. I can make the argument that Andrew Toney outplayed Magic Johnson in the 1983 finals. Or how about Rip Hamilton outplayed Kobe in the 2004 finals? Or Jalen Rose, who outscored Kobe by 8 points per game in the 2000 finals. Also, Jason Terry, despite being on the bench, played more minutes than the starter Deshaun Stevenson did, so the whole he was a bench player thing doesn't mean much when he played starter minutes. LeBron still had 4 more rebounds per game and 4 more assists per game than Terry did, so overall I can't say that Terry outplayed LeBron in any measure except for just scoring. And JJ Barea didn't have better stats in any category. The Barea argument is based on a few defensive possessions, no more than 6 or 7, where he switched on LeBron. And this could happen in any series where for a few possessions a role player might outplay a superstar. For example, here's a stretch where Muggsy Bogues actually guarded Jordan really well. And of course when Matthew Dellavedova guarded Curry really well. So how come nobody makes memes about Matthew Dellavedova outplaying Curry? And it's just dumb to say that some bench player outplayed LeBron just because he was on the winning team. By that logic, might as well say Steve Kerr outplayed Karl Malone, because Kerr's team won and Malone's team lost. Might as well say Michael Cooper outplayed Larry Bird, because Showtime Lakers beat Bird's team twice in the finals. I guess that means Cooper outplayed Bird twice then. Not to mention, Terry and Barea were guards and LeBron is a forward, so how can you even compare them when they played different positions and barely guarded each other? For Kobe, he's had numerous performances where he was just as bad as LeBron was in the 8-point performance in 2011. In the 2000 finals, Kobe averaged 15 points per game in the entire series, including only 8 points in Game 5. Yes, Kobe got injured in Game 2, and everyone talks about his clutch play in Game 4, but that doesn't excuse that he underperformed in all the other games in the series. Jalen Rose outscored Kobe by a whopping 8 points per game and 10% better field goal percentage this series. Is that being outplayed? Kobe fans like to say he was equal with Shaq, yet you can't be equal when one player is averaging 38, 16, 3, and 3 in the finals, and the other is averaging 15, 4, and 4, okay? In the 2004 finals, this finals is just as bad as LeBron's 2011 finals, if not worse, because the 2004 Pistons were even more of an underdog than the 2011 Mavs were. At least the Mavs won 57 games in the West, swept the Lakers, and beat the OKC Big 3 in 5 games. They were on a roll in the playoffs. Dirk was exiting his prime, but still in it. The 2004 Pistons, on the other hand, had Ben Wallace as their only Hall of Famer and All-Star that year, won only 54 games in the weaker Eastern Conference, and barely made it past the Nets in that playoffs. The 2004 Lakers were even more favored than the 2011 Heat were. Phil Jackson is a Hall of Fame coach, and Shaq and Kobe were both in their prime, both healthy, and both had championship experience. They lost in 5 games. Whereas LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, it was their first time playing together. Eric Spoelstra was a good coach, but he's no Phil Jackson. They took the Mavs to 6 games at least. Only in retrospect do we see the Pistons as a great team, but at the time, no one expected them to win. Kobe's performance in the finals was the main factor they lost. While the Pistons' defense was all-time great, Shaq was still hitting 60% in the paint, despite Ben Wallace guarding him. Kobe, on the other hand, was shooting only 38% with Tayshaun Prince guarding him. His all-time worst finals performance may be in Game 3 when he had 11 points on 31% shooting. Kobe's desire to be the main guy and unwillingness to pass to Shaq was a huge factor in them losing the series. After the series, Phil Jackson outed Kobe in his book The Last Season and called him uncoachable. Then there's the 2006 first round Game 7, which is the game where Kobe stopped shooting in the second half despite Phil Jackson to show him that his team sucked. If LeBron ever did this, it would be brought up endlessly by his haters. But his fans blame it on Phil Jackson and Kobe's teammates because of course they will never blame Kobe for anything. Then in the 2008 Finals Game 4, Kobe had 17 points on 31% shooting, which is a huge factor in the Lakers losing that game. Then in 2010 Finals Game 7, Kobe shoots 25% in that game, and yes, while he did grab 15 rebounds in the game, if it wasn't for Paul Gasol's 18 rebounds and Artest's clutch three-pointer, the Lakers would have lost for sure because the game was decided only by 4 points. Then in the 2011 series versus the Mavs, Kobe averages only 22 points per game, 3 rebounds and 3 assists per game in that series. He was All-NBA first team and All-Defensive first team this season. Jason Terry averages 20 points per game this series and had a whopping 59% field goal percentage compared to Kobe's 46% field goal percentage this series. If Terry outplayed LeBron by being 1% more efficient, well, he's 13% more efficient than Kobe here, and he was playing the same position as well, unlike LeBron. And for a player as unstoppable as Kobe's claimed to be, if all it takes is a Tayshaun Prince or Tony Allen or 38-year-old Jason Kidd to get him to perform below average, well, how unstoppable really is he? And in general, I find it ridiculous that LeBron's 2011 finals gets brought up over and over again because he has so many haters. He has tons of other great finals, and he actually did well in the 2011 playoffs before the finals too. But, of course, we have to talk about the one where he underperformed in. It's as if for Magic we kept bringing up his 1984 finals that he choked in, or Bird's 1981 finals that he underperformed in, or Kareem's 1983 finals where he got outplayed by Moses, or Kobe's 2004 finals where he shot his team out of the game, or Curry's 2016 finals that he choked in. Like, imagine if we ignored every other finals that they played in except for their worst one. That's what people do to LeBron. It's insane. Myth number 10, LeBron dropped the ball to meet Kobe in the 2009 finals. This seems to be the chance that the media keeps promoting as a matchup between Kobe and LeBron, and it gives the haters a chance to say that LeBron dropped the ball by choking against Dwight Howard's Magic, which isn't true. Not only did LeBron not choke against Dwight's Magic, but he had arguably one of the best series of his career. First of all, LeBron's 66-win Cavs were built for the regular season. Not all high-win teams were built for the playoffs. We can just ask the 2015 Hawks, or the 2016 Spurs, or 2011 Bulls, or the 2020 Bucks. The 2007 Mavs won 67 games in the regular season and lost in the freaking first round in a massive upset. And yet Dirk still seems to be remembered as a clutch player now despite that, while LeBron is still remembered as a choker. So why is that? Secondly, 40 of these wins were from LeBron alone. When LeBron left the Cavs, they went from 61 wins to 19 wins with minimal roster changes. That's a huge reason why LeBron wasn't able to get far in the playoffs with that kind of supporting cast. In the playoffs, all the Magic had to do was put all their defensive attention on the other players instead of LeBron, and the team will lose, because a single player cannot carry an entire team. It's the opposite of the Spurs strategy in the 2007 finals, where they put 4 guys on LeBron and forced him to take bad shots because they weren't worried about Drew Gooden or Daniel Gibson hitting any shots. Here, the Magic know they can't stop LeBron, so they just stop his teammates instead. So LeBron in the 2009 series versus the Magic actually averaged a mind-boggling 38.5 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 8 assists per game at 49% shooting. And he even had a buzzer beater against them in Game 2. So no, LeBron did not choke against the Magic. He performed very well. Losing is not always choking. That's why nobody says Michael Jordan choked against the Celtics when he got swept, despite putting up an NBA record 63 points against them in the playoffs. You can perform well, but if your team isn't good enough, you can still lose. This is again the opposite of Kobe. In the 2000 finals, as I mentioned, Kobe averaged 15 points per game on 37% shooting and still won that series, because Shaq was there. LeBron averaged 38, 8, and 8 in 2009, but lost. Numbers-wise, it's not even close, but people will say LeBron choked and Kobe was clutch. Also, I think the more important question is, why is LeBron being blamed for 2009 when Kobe had a chance to meet LeBron in 2011 and dropped the ball there? That never gets mentioned. As I mentioned previously, people always trash LeBron for losing to the 2011 Mavericks, but Kobe lost to the exact same team as the defending champs. His Lakers won 57 games in the regular season, and he got swept by them no less. But no one blames Kobe for this. Kobe was averaging only 23, 3, and 3 that series, so how's that not a choke? And LeBron gets blamed for choking against the Magic when he was averaging 38, 8, and 8 against them? Kobe fans always have an excuse ready for everything. Here's a big long list of excuses for every year he was in the league. So when you look at all these excuses, is that the resume of a man that's considered better than LeBron and as good as Jordan? Would a player who's top 3 all time need this many excuses? And I've already talked about all the insane performances LeBron has had in the finals and in the playoffs. And it's not just LeBron who outperforms Kobe in the finals. Here's a few players who no one would ever rank as high as Kobe all time, with better finals performances than Kobe's best one. So all these finals performances are better than Kobe's best finals in 2009, and these are all from players no one would ever put in the GOAT combo, right? So let alone be considered better than LeBron, and yet Kobe's somehow elevated to just below Jordan all time? Give me a break. So what performances do Kobe fans have to talk about? Basically all just regular season stuff and small things he did that get completely overhyped. So obviously there's his 81 points against a bad defensive team, outscoring the entire Mavs team in 3 quarters, both in the regular season. Or the time Matt Barnes shook a ball in Kobe's face and he didn't blink. Wow, that's amazing, I guess. Or the ultimate ball hogging moment when he took 50 shots and scored 60 points with Utah playing 0 defense on him in his last game. Well, that was impressive, I guess. Or the time he dunked on Dwight Howard. Oh, he had his nuts all over Dwight, right? Oh, I guess that's funny. Well, he sunk 2 free throws on a torn Achilles. Nobody else could do that, right? It's as if Kobe fans have no idea that other NBA players have games like this too. For example, Scottie Pippen played an entire finals with a herniated disc. 6'1" Kevin Johnson dunked on a 7' Hakeem. KD came back from an Achilles tear and had a playoff game, dropping a 49-point triple-double against the Bucks. Isaiah Thomas scored 25 in a quarter on a sprained ankle in the NBA Finals. But none of these moments get even a fraction of the hype Kobe's moments get. I mean, just imagine if Kobe dropped 25 in a quarter on a bad ankle in the NBA Finals. You bet his fans would hype it up like no tomorrow. It'll get played endlessly on highlight reels, they'll have anniversaries for it, and they'll bring it up as a reason why he's the GOAT. So this extends even to the Olympics, where Kobe had an amazing quarter versus Spain in 2008. Everyone talks about it, hypes it up repeatedly, while completely ignoring the fact that he was merely mediocre in the other games, whereas LeBron gets blamed for the 2004 bronze medal, even though he only played 11 minutes in that entire Olympics.
So, if you look up the stats for the Olympics, 2008 and 2012, LeBron versus Kobe shouldn't even be a discussion. LeBron beats Kobe in every single category: points, rebound, assists, efficiency. Just because of Kobe's mystique and hype, he always gets the credit. So 2008 Olympics, everyone credits Kobe as the reason why the US won gold, which by the stats doesn't really make much sense, but that's the narrative. So that's what everyone believes.
So there seems to be a massive double standard with Kobe and LeBron. All the screenshots I'm showing you right now, you can tell that there's some common themes going on with Kobe fans and LeBron haters. One thing is that they love to insult you. They love to call people casuals or Bronsexuals or Bron fanboys. They love to tell you that you don't know basketball or you didn't watch Kobe because you're too young or something like that. Then they'll say how the Mamba's disrespected and how any facts you bring up is you hating on Kobe and how quickly you forget how great Kobe was. The truth of the matter is that these people are heavily biased to Kobe because they're fanboys who grew up with Kobe and either only watch Kobe's highlights or refuse to acknowledge any of Kobe's bad moments or blame it on something else. The list of excuses they make for Kobe is very long, as already mentioned. Every time Kobe has a bad game, they'll blame his teammates, or say he had injuries, or even blame Phil Jackson for it. Some fans will even say that Kobe was too tired to carry the team on offense and defense, and that's why he had bad games sometimes, which is an absurd excuse. They'll say anything to diminish Shaq's importance. They'll completely ignore Shaq's rebounding and defense and only look at their points per game and say, well, Kobe matched Shaq's points per game or outscored him in a few series, so Kobe was just as important. Or if you bring up Shaq's rebounding and defense, they'll tell you not to compare because they play different positions. And I really feel bad for Paul Gasol and Lamar Odom. Paul Gasol is diminished by Kobe fans as being a borderline all-star, when in reality, he was a Hall of Famer who was a singular major reason why Kobe was able to get past the first round and make the finals again. They completely diminish Gasol's importance and make it look like Kobe carried the team by himself. And Lamar Odom, well, they just pretend he didn't exist and only focus on Kwame Brown and Smush Parker instead. Not to mention how much Kobe fans exaggerate and lie about things. They act like all of Kobe's regular season scoring streaks were the greatest thing ever, focus on how many points he scored without taking into consideration his field goal percentage, and if you talk about his field goal percentage, then they'll excuse it by saying he took tough shots, he played against tougher defenses. They'll talk about his killer instinct, his clutch ability, his Mamba mentality, all without being able to list any of the great clutch moments in the playoffs. They also hype up Kobe's defense, calling him a lockdown perimeter defender, even though they can't back this up with any evidence either. They'll talk about how many 50-win teams Kobe beat in the playoffs as if he did that all by himself, talk up Kobe's 5 rings and his finals record as if he did that all by himself, and if you bring up his one MVP, they'll say, oh, well, that's because the media hated him and robbed him of MVPs. And anything Kobe does that's arrogant or egotistic is played off by Kobe fans as being alpha, or toughening his teammates up, and constantly reiterate that Kobe's a winner, even though that's not borne out by any facts at all, as proven in this video. And if you disagree with any of what they say, then you're a Kobe hater. Meanwhile, for LeBron, it's the exact opposite. They'll always blame LeBron for everything and never his teammates. If he missed the playoffs, well, that's all because LeBron couldn't elevate his teammates. If he lost in the finals, that's because LeBron choked. It doesn't matter that his teammates were injured or he was facing stacked competition, it was all LeBron's fault. Won a championship? Well, he needed help to win. If he went to the finals, well, the conference was too weak. He had a stacked team. He recruited too many superstars. His finals path was too easy. He shouldn't have passed the ball. He was too scared of the moment. Kobe would have never done that. Also, Ray Allen and Kyrie Irving saved his legacy. His last ring didn't count. It was a bubble ring. And he quits on his team? Well, Kobe would never. And what about Derek Fisher and Robert Horry's clutch shots? Well, let's just pretend that never happened. Kobe never needed anyone else taking the last shots. Of course not. And LeBron's 2011 finals? That's the worst finals ever. All LeBron's fault. Kobe's 2004 finals? Well, the Pistons' defense was too good and his teammates didn't step up, so it's not his fault. Kobe getting swept by the 2011 Mavs? Well, let's just ignore it and focus on the fact that LeBron lost against them. The double standards are pretty ridiculous. Remember when Kobe called himself the GOAT? No one blinked. When LeBron did it, the internet got set on fire. Whenever LeBron acts tough or upset, they call him a bad leader. Whereas when Kobe does it, they praise him for toughening his teammates. Whenever LeBron scores a lot of points, they say he's stat padding. Whenever Kobe does it, then that's because he's the most unstoppable scorer ever. Whenever LeBron makes a clutch play, people never really talk about it. Whenever Kobe makes a clutch play, it gets remembered for all eternity. If LeBron flops, then he's soft. If he gets tough, then he's dirty. And let's just ignore the fact that Kobe has done dirty plays like purposely bumped into Yao Ming and Kendrick Perkins and caused them to suffer injuries. And while they diminish Shaq, Gasol, and Odom in order to make Kobe look better, they love to hype up LeBron's teammates in order to make LeBron look worse. They will all look at the all-star teammates LeBron played with, like Wade, Bosh, Kyrie, Love, AD, and Ray Allen. Then they will total up their all-star appearances and act like LeBron played with them their entire primes, which is completely disingenuous when half of them were injured when LeBron was playing with them. In fact, I would argue that 8 years of prime Shaq was worth more than all the years of those guys when they played with LeBron put together in terms of value and production. And don't forget, if you ever defend LeBron by actually bringing up the context and showing them footage and stats, they'll say, oh, only Bronsexuals care about stats, or stats don't matter, except of course when Kobe scores a lot of points, and call you names like Bron Fanboy or Bron Dick Rider. So how can you cherry pick all the negatives of LeBron, insult you when you bring up the evidence, but only cherry pick the positives of Kobe, then make up all these ridiculous excuses for Kobe and then say Kobe's better, when it was never a fair comparison in the first place? All his good performances get overhyped like crazy, while his bad performances are excused and swept under the rug, and LeBron's great performances are swept under the rug and excused while his bad performances get exaggerated like crazy. It's a complete opposite. It's infuriating. Also, when Kobe fans have no arguments to use against you, they will resort to using the "you're a hater" or "you're a Bronsexual," or use Kobe's death to say that you can't disrespect the dead, or use any kind of personal insult to avoid making an actual valid response. Also, they will say something is a fact when it's really their opinion. They'll say something like, Kobe's the top 2 greatest scorer of all time. He didn't need help to win. He had the hardest work ethic ever. Those are facts. 100%. Mamba forever. Really sounds like a child talking about their favorite comic book hero, doesn't it? Batman doesn't need help to win. He's the greatest superhero ever. He trains the hardest out of anyone. He defeated the Joker 5 times and Superman only beat Lex Luthor 3 times. That's a fact. Also, by the way, the reason why LeBron flops is to get extra points. It's not because he would tip over if you touch him. How ridiculous is that notion? LeBron has the body of Karl Malone, so of course if you transport him back to the 80s and 90s, where the era is more physical and flopping is not rewarded, he would change his tune and he would still do well. The guy is one of the strongest NBA players, so it's ridiculous to assume he can't play back then just because he's using the current day era's rules to his advantage. And FYI, LeBron and Kobe's career overlapped by 13 years. It's not like they played in totally different eras or something. The hate for LeBron is totally irrational, especially when you consider the fact that he has no off-court scandals and has been a loving husband and father and contributed back to his community. Meanwhile, Kobe has had lots of locker room issues in addition to his infamous rape trial, and LeBron is the one who is hated the most. Maybe it's due to LeBron's perceived arrogance when he called himself the GOAT, but then again, Muhammad Ali did the same thing and nobody had a problem with him. LeBron's also political, but then again, so was Ali and Kareem and Bill Russell, and they never got hate from fans for it. Some people even blame LeBron for supporting Nike sweatshops when he is just one athlete out of many, including Kobe, who signed with Nike, and they never get hate for that either. It seems that people just want to blame LeBron unfairly for everything. You have guys who literally make their careers out of hating on LeBron, like Skip Bayless, for example. And there's a cottage industry of guys who post LeBron hate memes on every post, whether it's related to him or not. It really makes me wonder what these people will do once LeBron retires. They may actually have to find a real job and do something with their lives. I find many of these people use LeBron as a scapegoat. For literally everything they don't like about modern society, they blame it on LeBron, while LeBron has never done anything personal to them or anything. And as if it's not obvious already from these screenshots, these Kobe fans and LeBron haters all act like children. They use words like bronsexual, lebum, letrash, lebitch, leswept, lefrozen, legarbage. I've heard them all. And they use dumb memes as their arguments. So what's scary is that their posts get so many likes because the majority of the fan base are casuals. But can you imagine some 40-year-old posting online a comment calling another grown man lebum? Like, that's just some insult an 8-year-old would make up. Come on now. I hope I busted all these myths. Because Kobe fans are so numerous and a large portion of them are casual fans, they always find some way to distort the truth when talking about him, and the same is true of LeBron haters as well, as there are a lot of them, and they tend to be casual fans as well. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you should know by now that not only is Kobe not on LeBron's level, but he's not even close. He's barely a fringe top 10 player all time. In fact, ESPN had him at number 10, and Sports Illustrated had him at even lower at number 12. In Thinking Basketball, a well-respected YouTube channel doing basketball analysis, analyzed the greatest peaks of modern NBA players, and while Kobe made the series, he wasn't in the top 10 greatest peaks, but consistently gets elevated to the GOAT conversation by his fanatical fans, which he has no business being a part of. Any post which doesn't have Kobe top 5 all time instantly gets hated on by his fans, who all say they were disrespecting Kobe.
Even NBA players are not immune from the wrath of Kobe fans. Just recently, T-Mac said that he would have won the same amount of rings as Kobe had he played with Shaq. And this made a lot of Kobe fans angry, of course. They got out their pitchforks, started roasting T-Mac. and T-Mac was forced to apologize, saying that he didn't mean to disrespect Kobe. So that tells you about the power of Kobe's fan base, because there's so many Kobe fans, they literally have the power to shape the narrative. I just find it funny that so many people online think Bron fans are the worst and the most annoying. Well, let me know when Bron fans throw out childish insults online, when they constantly berate and roast people for not putting a guy with one MVP in the GOAT conversation, when they constantly hype up all of this player's best moments, ignore his worst moments, exaggerate everything he does, gives him 100% of the credit and diminish his teammates as much as possible when he wins, and then blame his teammates whenever they lose, or blame injuries, or make up some lame excuse whenever he doesn't do well, make up conspiracy theories to justify why Kobe doesn't have more awards or better stats, cherry pick all of his best games and ignore all the worst ones, and they basically say, screw your stats, it's all about my feelings, and I feel that Kobe's better than LeBron. Kobe doesn't flop or switch teams, and he didn't call himself the GOAT publicly, but he has Mamba mentality and killer instinct, so that's why he's better. It's funny to me that so many people online, they make fun of LeBron fans, calling them Bronsexuals or Bron Glazers, Bron Riders, when there's so many more Kobe fans online that hype him up and glaze him up. Like, just do any kind of search online, you'll find all these social media posts hyping up Kobe and glazing Kobe, and there's going to be way more of these posts than any of the posts glazing LeBron, I'm sure of it. Kobe fans' logic is literally like an elementary school kid. Jordan is the GOAT, right? And Kobe's the closest to Jordan in skills. Thus, Kobe's right after Jordan all time. Does it make sense? Do we rank any other NBA player this way? Just say screw the resume, we're ranking a player based only on their skill set? Does that mean Kyrie Irving's top 10 all time? Right after Allen Iverson all time because he's the closest to Iverson? Is Joel Embiid right after Hakeem all time because he's the closest in skill set? No? You don't agree? Well, that's what Kobe fans do when you say he's the closest to Jordan, and they use that argument to put him in the GOAT conversation. Also, how can you be in the GOAT conversation when a player exists who is better in every way and also plays the same position? Make it make sense. I haven't even mentioned the fact that Kobe had some pretty serious off-court issues while LeBron is spotless and is somehow hated for raising a kid who made the NBA. The double standards are really ridiculous, which is why I had to make this video.
Of course, none of them give any substantial evidence for why he should be top 5 or why he's better than LeBron, except for the narratives already debunked in this video.
So I think Kobe fans are all about feelings over facts. It's all about their feelings, really. That's why they put Kobe over LeBron. It's because they feel that Kobe's better. Because of his killer instinct, Mamba mentality, legendary work ethic, who was loyal to his team until the very end, who made a lot of flashy, tough shots, gave it his all in the court. Meanwhile, they see all of LeBron's flopping, whining to the refs, calling himself the GOAT, teaming up with superstars and hopping teams, supposedly choking on the court. And yeah, that's pretty much why they have Kobe over LeBron. It's nothing really related to their actual stats or performance on the court, but it's just how they feel about them. That's why they don't like stats. Kobe fans doesn't like stats because they know that the stats favor LeBron. But they're basically like, screw the stats, I still like Kobe better. And that's why they call LeBron all these names. It's all about the feelings. Literally, feelings over facts. That's Kobe's entire GOAT argument. And cult-like devotion and cult-like following would be the best way, I would say, to describe Kobe fans, because they literally, I think, are crazy about Kobe. They're obsessed with him. Anytime anyone doesn't mention him in the proper conversations that they think that Kobe should be mentioned in, they say, oh, it's so disrespectful to the Mamba. How dare you disrespect Kobe, right? And then they get super defensive about him. It's literally a cult, I think. Just a big brainwashed cult.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something new from it. And as always, thanks for watching.